So, I wanted to make another video using this concept of the elements, the 5 elements, in regards to the practice of semen retention and also just the practice of becoming our best selves, self-improvement, self-love, this whole journey that we're on to develop our characters and become the highest versions of ourselves in this world, become contributors instead of consumers, become creators instead of destroyers. So that's really what this journey is about, you guys. And I think using the concepts of the elements, fire, air, water, earth, and ether, are really useful teaching tools. They're really useful to me to help me kind of understand in a more simplistic way what it is that I'm doing basically here on earth and how to bring all of these different forces into balance. So I'll make more videos on this, and I'm going to kind of use this as a theme throughout as a teaching tool. So I'm sitting here now with my feet, my bare feet on the earth, grounding to the earth. So I'm in contact with the earth element. I'm also breathing. And if I were to do breath work, some kind of conscious breathing practice, then I'd be connecting directly with the air element. Okay, the fire element is coming from the energy of the sun, and it's also coming from my root, where we are cultivating this sexual energy when we retain, right? This energy as men that we retain can be correlated with fire energy. It's hot, you know, like I've said before, when an animal is in heat, you know what that means, right? And so as humans, we also experience these things, and it does tend to correlate with a sense of heat. We even say this person's hot, you know what I'm saying? It's all in the language, it's hidden right there, okay? So when we are cultivating our sexual life force energy as men, we are cultivating that fire energy. We can also cultivate that fire energy through exposure to the sun. This is why sun exposure is very important for men. It increases testosterone, it increases vitality and energy. It's a very clarifying thing. All right, so then there's the water element, of course. And the water element it's closely related to the earth, because the earth that I'm sitting on right now is a bit wet. This tree that's behind me required water in order to grow. It also required earth. It required elements from the earth and the water that it combines, and the energy from the sun, and also the air. It uses carbon dioxide, and then it puts out oxygen. So a tree is a really great thing that we can use to meditate on. See, we should be like trees. If you look at a tree and you just close your rational left brain thinking mind down a little bit and just observe a tree, you'll realize that it's rooted into the earth, and that the bigger the tree gets, the higher that it reaches, the deeper those roots have to extend. So there is this as above, so below sort of concept manifested in the tree. The strongest trees have the deepest roots, and the tree is in equal exchange with everything around it. If it weren't balanced, it would fall over. It gives shelter to other animals. It provides. It doesn't take more than it needs, right? And it's a good example of something that is utilizing air, earth, fire, water, and of course ether. Ether would be like the connective tissue between all of these elements. Ether is involved in everything because that is the spiritual aspect, the unseen force in this world that really drives everything. So behind earth is ether, behind fire is ether, behind air is ether. What am I missing? Missing one of them. But you catch my drift. Ether is like the foundation, and we are at our core etheric spiritual beings. So this etheric element is where we come into contact with things like intuition or premonition. How else would something like that be possible? How can we read energy in people or sense what they're thinking or feeling as empaths? That all happens on the etheric plane. But we experience these things then on the mental and physical plane. And the mind is largely a construct of the brain, which is made out of elements, right? So all of these elements are very important to understand and to bring into balance and to bring into harmony with each other. So as retainers, we are increasing our fire energy. Like I said, that comes from your root. So what is essential as people who are cultivating this fire energy is we need to balance that fire with the other elements. So the opposite of fire, the most opposite element would be water, right? Because water would put out a fire. So we do need to be hydrated. We do need to be grounding to wet surfaces. Better yet, swimming in natural bodies of water. Connecting with water. Water represents a more feminine aspect of creation. Fire represents the more masculine. Fire is a very outputting thing. The other thing that's masculine, you guys, is thinking. You could think the left side of your brain, the left hemisphere, is the masculine hemisphere. It thinks rationally, logically, linearly. The right hemisphere is more intuitive and creative based. Now, this has more in common with the feminine principle of more intuitive capacities, more creative capacities, reception versus projection. Think about this, you guys. The masculine, think about the act of sex, and the masculine projects outward. Our genitals even represent this. The male has a projected genital, and it projects its seed out, and the female receives. So the female naturally is more intuitive, receptive, because they are the receiving aspect of this creation, and the male is the projecting aspect of this creation. So this is exhibited in all of nature, right? And so we as human beings, our best selves are going to have these different elements, these different forces existing in some sort of balance. So we can't be so linear and so left brain focused that we're always thinking. Then overthinking is a masculine trait that leads to stress. That's too much fire in the body. That's going to equate to a more acidic body, which is more prone to disease, right? So to balance that out, we need to be in contact with the feminine principle. So we don't need literal, actual females for this. This is the problem that a lot of men have. This is why men get codependent, is because they depend on a woman and her feminine energy to balance out his imbalance of fire, his imbalance of masculinity. So he becomes codependent on the woman. As men, we can't afford to be codependent. That's what makes us into simps. So this is why we need to be celibate and alone and retain for periods of time if we want to be men that are actually capable of providing something of value to a woman and not becoming a parasite in some sense or a codependent in some sense, because we have all of these things in balance within us already. We're complete, right? When all of these things are in balance, we are complete, we are whole. And now when we go into a relationship, which should be 50-50, it's not going to be 60-40 or 70-30. It's going to be 50-50 because we're bringing 100% into it, okay? So a practice to bring these things all into harmony, you guys. Think about air. Air is closely connected to fire. Air is also connected to earth and water, but is more closely connected to fire. Fire needs air to burn, right? And so through the practice of breath work and grounding to the earth, so conscious breathing, and just a tip on that, by the way, tongue on the roof of the mouth, in through the nose, out through the nose is ideal. Square breathing is a great practice, so slow, conscious inhales, hold, exhale when it feels natural, leave the air out of the lungs, inhale when it feels natural. We want to breathe 2/3 into the belly, 1/3 into the chest. So 2/3 into the belly, 1/3 into the chest, shoulders go back. On the exhale, it's the opposite. We go more into like the fetal position and our body contracts. And then we can stay in that position until it feels natural to inhale again, right? Same way it goes in is the same way it comes out. So breath work is a really great way to create some balance, some homeostasis in the body, to calm down the nervous system, to calm down all of these systems that get us into overthinking and overanalyzing, which as retainers, I think we are prone to. because of all of the fire energy we are cultivating, because we're becoming more masculine. Masculinity is good. If you're a man, you should be masculine, but not at the expense, not in an out of balance way where you become this aggressive, forceful person. That's not ideal. You know, we want to be walking in the spirit. We want to be embodying the highest principles. You know, we're capable of crushing a man, but we're wise enough to never need to. All right, this is like the ideal man as far as I'm concerned. Jesus Christ is a perfect example, the best example that there ever was as far as I'm concerned. So we can get in also to scriptures. It's another way to get grounded. This is a very grounding thing because it's very consistent. The teachings of Jesus have not changed unless somebody tried to alter them. So that's a whole other tangent we might get into in another video. So we've got the earth element. I'm grounded to the earth. My body is constructed largely out of earth. And so my diet is also related to this earth principle. I want to be eating things that are organic and clean, putting things that are nutrient rich and mineral rich in my body. All right. This is a good way to balance grounding to the earth. Breathing, conscious breathing connects us with the air. The fire element, get in the sun. Obviously, cultivating sexual life force energy is a fire cultivation practice. And then water becomes essential. Becomes so essential, especially for men who are celibate. We need to be in contact with water, which means hydrate regularly with quality water, right? Anytime you have an opportunity to be near a natural body of water, if you have a beach, if you have a creek in the mountains, a river, a lake, anything like that, just being near that is going to help bring balance to the system. Swimming in this water, there are so many positive effects on the body that come from contact with the earth, contact with natural bodies of water. These things are really going to help us remain balanced as we are cultivating this really powerful energy, right? So think of a car that has a really high horsepower engine. That car needs to have a strong chassis, right? It needs to be all around. It needs to be able to handle. It needs to be able to hold the road, you know, or else it's going to crash. So it's like we're increasing our horsepower when we retain. But if we don't bring these other systems into balance, we might run into trouble, right? So it's very important. And through this process, we can become individuals that are so whole and so complete that this etheric principle, this energy, this unseen aspect starts to grow and expand in us naturally. We start to transform. We start to become very energetically potent people that have a positive effect on everybody that we're around, whether they like it or not. Some people like it. Some people are too attached to their shadow and they don't like it. So that is what it is. It's part of the deal. And all right, you guys, thanks for listening. If you guys are enjoying the content, please like, subscribe, share, support in any way you can. I'm doing this for free. I'm sharing my life experience and everything that I have to give for free. So I appreciate you guys. All right. Peace.